CBS Sports hoops analyst, does a lot of college stuff. He does the Knicks for MSG. Wally Szczerbiak, former sharpshooter, Miami of Ohio, first-round pick. What up, Wall? How you doing, buddy?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up, dude? This is a crazy college season, obviously. Has it gone better? Maybe a good jumping off point with you since we haven't spoken in so long. Has it gone better than you thought it would? I would imagine that the answer would be yes. But for you, your expectations coming into the season versus what we've gotten so far, better or comparable?
I think it's been great. Honestly, it's been such a trying year for everyone. I just think for these athletes to be put through what they've been put through on campus. When they came to campus, they pretty much couldn't live a normal life. They couldn't go out to see their friends. They couldn't go different dorm rooms and different places in town and stuff like that. They were kind of asked to just quarantine pretty much all season with their team and also do, school virtually. So that's not easy at all. And I give these kids a lot of credit. They kind of hunkered down. They came together as teams and, they pulled it off. Obviously there's been some hiccups, and I think the protocols have done a great job of keeping everyone safe because that's the goal. Mm-hmm. Obviously it's up to these players to keep everyone around them safe, who could possibly be at risk, even if they're, probably going to be okay if they contract the virus. So, I'm just excited for March Madness. I'm excited for the tournament. I'm confident in the NCAA's ability to pull it off in a bubble-type situation, and I can't wait to get it going.
Yeah, no, and Wally, the thing that you start thinking about is, could this be the first time in a really long time that one of the traditionals, I won't call them blue bloods, but traditionals aren't winning this thing because it's all about matchups, and these matchups could be compromised, to be honest with you. We know that the NCAA has contingency plans. Could you expect something out of the blue happening this year?
It's possible. They have that contingency plan where the first four teams out, they're kind of stacked 1 to 4, and if, say, a number one seed goes down like a Gonzaga or like a Baylor, and they can't participate in the tournament, then one of those first 4 out teams, I think they become a number one seed. They get slotted into the bracket. So hopefully it doesn't come to that. They're doing everything possible that it doesn't. They're getting the teams there early. They're going to make sure they have a bunch of negative tests before they even set foot on the floor and stuff like that. But you never know with this situation. As you know, we've been throwing curveballs all year long. So hopefully the NCAA is ready for them, and hopefully, we don't get thrown another one.
Wally, were you surprised when Jim Boeheim weighed in and went so deeply into the waters of Duke's program? We talked about that on our show. I thought it was a really, really poor look for Coach. Even if he's right, they and the record backs that up. They are better without Johnson. But I thought that was bad taste for a guy who's been around for any coach. But the old adage is worry about your own backyard, not somebody else's. I didn't like that from Coach Boeheim.
Yeah, that's fair. As you know, Coach Boeheim and Coach Krzyzewski are very, very, very close.
Yep.
They've known each other for a long time. I've known those two through USA Basketball. Coach Boeheim was a huge influence in me when I won 2 gold medals, in the Goodwill games back when I was playing. So I've had great relationships with those guys. I think, I'm with you. I just think, but at the same time, he weighed in on his opinion, and the numbers at the time certainly said, as a team, they were playing better basketball with Jalen Johnson not in the lineup. That was just a crazy situation and scenario. It's not something I would have done as a player. I would have tried to just do everything to fight through the adversity and finish my, basketball season for the sake of my teammates. But I completely understand Jalen Johnson's decision. He's got a lot on the line. He's got a career waiting possibly in the NBA, and he's got a lot of money guaranteed for a couple of years, on the table. So everyone has to make their own decisions, and I completely am fine with that. And at the same time in sports, we all weigh in on we have opinions on everything. So As a coach, you can go up there and you can make an opinion on, a guy who got fired, a guy who got hired. Yeah. And a lot of times coaches are behind coaches that get hired, and they're bashing whoever fired a certain coach. So it's kind of no different, I think, in that situation, although it is kids. It's not an amateurs, it's not professionals. But at the same time, I'm fine with Coach Boeheim weighing in on that.
Yeah, I know. It was interesting, and I think our instinct was the same. He's speaking the words that Coach K can't actually say himself.
Yeah.
Let me jump to the SEC for a minute here, Wally. I mean, we're used to the traditionals there, Kentucky and even Auburn. But this year, Alabama and Coach Oates have done an amazing job. And if you've seen them play, you know how athletic they play and how I know out of the blue this feels. When we think Alabama, SEC, we're thinking football. How did they get so profound top of the conference and well suited to go into the NCAA tournament so quickly? Or at least it feels quickly.
No, they're an exciting team. I love that team. I'm with you, Tiki. Like, that's one of my favorite teams in the country. I love the way they play. They play fast. They shoot threes. And it happened because of Avery Johnson, quite honestly. And it also happened because Nate Oates is a tremendous coach. Came from Buffalo, my old conference, the Mid-American Conference, made a bunch of NCAA tournaments, beat Arizona in the first round. Yeah. So he knows how to coach. But those players were Avery's recruits. I mean, they were a year where – they had Colin Sexton, who's now playing great in the NBA with the Cavaliers, and then Petty and Herb Jones Jr. I saw them when they were freshmen down in a game in Annapolis when Navy was playing in the Veterans Classic, and I saw those guys as freshmen. I was like, wait a second. Colin's not the only NBA player on this team.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, this Petty, John Petty, he can shoot. He's a great athlete. He's a great defender, perfect 3-and-D type guy, and Herb Jones the same. But now these guys have had gained experience through the SEC 4 years, and now they're being coached by a great coach who took over the program and has the program in a great place. And then you add a couple other pieces here and there, and voila, in a down year in college basketball where Kentucky's not the same, they're the cream of the crop along with Arkansas. Coach Musselman is also doing a great job with Arkansas in the SEC. He's got them rolling. So those are the two teams to beat in that league, and those teams have a lot of chance to do a lot of damage in the tournament.
We're talking to Wally Szczerbiak, CBS Sports basketball analyst, Tiki and Tierney. So we're not going to see him in the tournament, which is a shame. But I've seen certainly a lot of highlights. I've caught a few games live. Cade Cunningham. I mean, give me a pro comp. Who do you see when you see him play?
Ooh, I love these too. I haven't thought about that yet. Wow. Let me think about this
Stumped
1 second. Hold
All
on.
right, go ahead. Take your time, Wally.
He's got those point guard skills. He's just so fluid, can shoot it. And what I love about him too is he's just so smart, and you can see the interaction he has with his teammates. He just really is a student of the game. Like he's trying to get his teammates engaged. He's trying to keep the team positive. Let's see. There's a big guard out there that does that.
Yeah, because he's big. I mean, he's 6'8".
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Bradley Beal. That's it.
Bradley Beal. But Beal's only 6'3". Yeah, okay, go ahead.
I know, he's bigger, but Beal plays both guards. He can play the one, he can play the two. He's a great outside shooter, great decision maker. I don't think Cade is as good of an outside shooter. Beal's just, like Ray Allen reincarnated with his jumper, and he's just unbelievable. I love his game. I kind of wish the Knicks would get him.
So do I.
But
so do I.
But, he's got that type of smoothness to his game. He really does. So I would say a little bit taller version of Bradley Beal.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting one. Let me jump over to the NBA real quick, and obviously you're local here doing Knicks, but the Nets are interesting, and we've talked about the season on our show often, how well James Harden is playing and how he's become the catalyst for that team. But they've been missing KD. Kevin Durant's been out with that hamstring injury. Kyrie Irving is intermittently in and out of the lineup, and so we haven't seen this big three together very often. I think it's only like 7 to maybe 9 games that they played together so far this year. We saw this last year with the Clippers, like all this expectation. You got Paul George, you got Kawhi, but they didn't put the lineup on the court enough. And when they got to the postseason, we saw it falter. Is that a danger in with the Nets, or are these three guys, once they ultimately get together, just too good to fall short?
It's a danger. You can't underestimate the importance of chemistry. I really firmly believe that. At the same time, what's almost a little bit more, I would say, as important as chemistry is health. Mm-hmm. So right now they have the luxury where James Harden is one of the most durable players in our era. So he can carry the team with tremendous shooting around him, by the way. I mean, Joe Harris and company, they put together a nice roster around those guys with the three-point shooters that they have. I think the goal is to keep Kyrie healthy and to keep Kevin Durant healthy come playoff time. I mean, if that team is healthy and those guys have no injuries and they're playing at 100%. My faith would be in Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni and company on that staff to figure out how to make things work. So I think that's the number one goal, is to make sure they're healthy. But at the same time, it's tough to just piece it together when teams haven't really had those games and been in the wars together and been down 3-2, going to your opponents, going to Philly's, home court for game 6, you're down 3-2, like, you find out what you're really made of as a player.
Yeah.
And until you've been in that situation, you never really know how you're going to respond. And we saw it in the bubble, like you said, like you mentioned with the Clippers last year, they just fell apart mentally.
Yep.
And one of the best coaches in the history of, basketball, Doc Rivers, couldn't get them on track. So, I would feel a little more confident if Kevin was kind of playing, but I think they need to get him healthy and get him right. And then the second half of the year, they're going to start figuring things out. But the schedule's going to be tough. I mean, there's a ton of games in a short amount of time, and those guys are no spring chickens anymore. So
No.
keeping them healthy is the number one goal, I would think, for that coaching staff and that franchise.
30 seconds before I let you go. You do the Knicks locally. Teek said that before, as did I. Listen, I think that as great as Randall's been, and he's been terrific, I think the biggest thing of import for the Knicks this year is that they've shown signs to the rest of the NBA world that they're far from toxic, which eventually could lead to players wanting to come here for the first time ever outside of Amari and Carmelo. But I look at Randall, right, and I don't know how the Knicks don't extend him long term. He's in his prime. He's in great shape. He's a great teammate. He's got a high IQ. He's gotten demonstrably better. He's efficient. How is Julius Randle not a Knick until he's 31, 32? Like, how does that not happen?
No, I'm with you. He's got another year on as a team option, so I think you pick up that. Or you reward him, just for a little bit more money on the back end. We'll see what they do, but, it's a no-brainer. I mean, he's just doing things that I never thought he was ever going to do in the NBA. His three-point shooting has been off the chart.
Yeah.
It's been tremendous, and now the culture's good, the vibe is good, and you have one of the most networked, first people running the team in Leon Rose.
That's right.
He's going to attract free agents, and they'll always payroll in the league, so they have room to sign the right. But you got to sign the right guys. That's the key. Get the right guys in here, and the Knicks will be back as championship contenders.
Oh, that's going to be so much fun. A lot of time to talk about that if and when it happens, and we're certainly hoping that it's when, not if. Well, great stuff. We got to bounce. Good having you back on, buddy. Thank you.
You got it. Sounds good. Take it easy, guys. See you later.
Wally.
All right.
See you soon.
Wally Szczerbiak, former NBA All-Star sharpshooter, first-round pick back in the day, CBS Sports basketball analyst. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.